σας, ονομάζομαι Νίκος Φασσόλας, είμαι μέλος του παγκόσμιου του Jacque και υπερήφανος πατέρας μιας ξάφνης πόλης που μου έκανε την τιμή να είμαι και εδώ απόψε. Θέλω να ευχαριστήσω καταρχήν τους ανθρώπους που δούλεψαν πολύ σκληρά για να επιτύχουν την απόψινή εκδήλωση. Έχετε πάρα πολύ, το ξέρετε. Και εσάς βέβαια που είστε απόψε εδώ. Θα πούμε μερικά λόγια και θα ξεκινήσουμε. Κυρίες και κύριοι, το ταξίδι του ανθρώπου πάνω σε αυτό το μοναδικό πλανήτη ξεκίνησε με βάση στα σημερινά στοιχεία πριν από 3 δισεκατομμύρια χρόνια με την εμφάνιση των κυανοπαρτηρίων. Μονοκύτταρων οργανισμών που μέσω της φωτοσύνθεσης παρήγαγαν οξυγόνο. Μερικά δισεκατομμύρια χρόνια μετά της εξέλιξης έκανε την εμφάνιση του ο σημερινός άνθρωπος, ο Homo sapiens, το μακρινό τρισέκον αυτών των μονοκύτταρων οργανισμών. Αυτοί οι άνθρωποι ζούσαν σε ένα πανέμορφο και πλούσιο στους φυσικούς πόρους του πλανήτη. Ήταν όμως ένας επικίνδυνος κόσμος. Ένας κόσμος που ο άνθρωπος προσπαθούσε να επιβιώσει, προσπαθούσε διαρκώς να γλιτώσει από τα νύχια μεγαλύτερων κυνηγών και να βρει ο αντίξωες συνθήκες τροφή για να επιβιώσει ο ίδιος. Έμαθε όμως να επιβιώνει δίνοντας στον ασταμάτητο αγώνα ακριβώς με τον ίδιο τρόπο που βιώνουν τα ζώα, λειτουργώντας λοιπόν με το ιδιωτικώδες κοινωνικό σύστημα της αγέλης. Η αγέλη, η απλούστερη μορφή κοινωνικής συμβίωσης, εκεί όπου δυνατότερος εξουσιάζει τους υπόλοιπους και κατάγει τον εαυτό του το μεγαλύτερο μερίδιο της πίτας της επιβίωσης. Οι πρόγονοι μας πριν από 200.000 χρόνια ήταν κτηνώδεις και βίαιοι. Αλλά δεν μπορούσαν να μην είναι. Δεν είχαν εκείνα τα μέσα που θα μπορούσαν να τους προσφέρουν αυθονία και επιμέλεια. Σε αυτό το δύσκολο περιβάλλον, ο ανταγωνισμός μεταξύ των ανθρώπων για τροφή ήταν κάτι το αναγκαίο για να μπορέσουν να επιβιώσουν. Έτσι, η διαστρωμάτωση μεταξύ των μελών της αγέλης, ξεκινώντας από την δυνατότητα προς τα κάτω, ήταν κάτι το πολύ φυσικό. Σήμερα, μετά από εκατοντάδες χιλιάδες χρόνια, οι σύγχρονοι άνθρωποι παραμένουν βίαιοι και κτηνώδεις. Ακόμα συντηρούν αυτή την κοινωνία της αγέλης υπό τα δικαιώματα που συνεπάγονται από αυτήν, παρόλο που πλέον δεν χρειάζεται. Οι άνθρωποι δεν χρειάζεται για να ανταγωνίζονται ένας τον άλλον, κι όμως στα σχολεία και τα πανεπιστήμια, τα παιδιά μας και οι νέοι σε ολόκληρο τον πλανήτη μαθαίνουν πως η μοναδική δύναμη που κινεί τα πάντα, το μοναδικό κίνητρο είναι ο ανταγωνισμός. Η οικονομική κρίση που προκαλεί τις τεράστιες αδικίες που καθημερινά βλέπουμε γύρω μας, σε όλους τους άνθρωπους ανά τον κόσμο, η πείνα, η φτώχεια, η πόλεμη, ο ρατσισμός, ο εξευτελισμός της αξίας παντός του ζωής, είναι αποτέλεσμα της αντίληψης της αγέλης. Και οι λίγοι που συντηρούν το κοινωνικό τους τερατρήγημα εξαντλούν όλα τα μέσα ελέγχου που διαθέτουν πάνω στους λαούς. Δεν χρειάζεται να είναι έτσι τα πράγματα. Κυρίες και κύριοι, φέτος γεννήθηκαν 104 εκατομμύρια παιδιά και πέθαναν 44 εκατομμύρια άνθρωποι. Φέτος κόπηκαν 101 δισεκατομμύρια τετραγωνικά μέτρα δάσους και φυτεύτηκαν 40 δισεκατομμύρια τετραγωνικά μέτρα δάσους. Αυτό είναι ένα παράδοξο. Το γεγονός δηλαδή ότι ο ανθρώπινος πληθυσμός αυξάνεται κάθε χρόνο κατά 60 εκατομμύρια, αλλά κατά 60 δισεκατομμύρια μειώνεται το δάσος κάθε χρόνο. Είναι παράδοξο. Ενώ η ανθρώπινη και όχι μόνο ανάγκη για οξυγόνο αυξάνεται, οι φυσικές μηχανές παραγωγής του μειώνονται με ραγδαίους ρυθμούς. Και δεν μειώνονται με φυσικό τρόπο, ο ίδιος ο άνθρωπος ευθύνεται για αυτόν τον παραλληλισμό. Ο ίδιος ο άνθρωπος αυτοκτονεί και παίρνει μαζί του όλα τα άλλα είδη που χρειάζονται το οξυγόνο για να ζήσουν. Ίσως πρέπει να αναρωτηθούμε για το τι πραγματικά φταίει ώστε αυτό το μοναδικό επίτευγμα της φύσης και της φυσικής επιλογής, το μοναδικό έως πάνω στον πλανήτη που διαθέτει υψηλή διάνοια, αυτός που ουσιαστικά ήδη επίσης τον επέλεξε να είναι στον υποκήρυξη αυτού του μοναδικού πλανήτη μέσα από τα δισεκατομμύρια χρόνια εξέλιξης, να αυτοκτονεί και να διαφορεί για τον ίδιο του θάνατό του. Ο άνθρωπος, χρησιμοποιώντας την σύγχρονη τεχνολογία, έχει εξωστρακίσει την έλλειψη και τη σπανιότητα. Παρ' όλα αυτά, 15 εκατομμύρια παιδιά πεθαίνουν κάθε χρόνο από πείνα. Σήμερα η τεχνολογία επιτρέπει στον άνθρωπο να παράγει 70 δισεκατομμύρια τόνους τροφής στον χρόνο. Θα μπορούσαμε να ταΐσουμε αμέτρητες φορές τον πληθυσμό του πλανήτη μας. Παρ' όλα αυτά, 1,5 δισεκατομμύρια άνθρωποι σήμερα ζουν σε μια μόνιμη κατάσταση πείνας. Ένας άνθρωπος πεθαίνει από πείνα κάθε 3,6 δευτερόλεπτα. Και τα 2/3 του παγκόσμιου πληθυσμού παιδιών τρώνε ελάχιστα ως καθόλου. Τελικά είναι ηλίθιος ο άνθρωπος ή απλά κάπως η διαδρομή έκανε λάθος. Οι απαντήσεις για όλα αυτά τα παράλογα που συμβαίνουν στη σημερινή μας κοινωνία και που χαρακτηρίζουν το σημερινό ανθρώπινο πολιτισμό ως κτηνόδη και απάνθρωπο, βρίσκεται στην απλοϊκότητα του κοινωνικού μοντέλου της αγγέλης, όπως αυτή λειτουργεί στη σύγχρονη μορφή της. Μερικές φορές όταν μιλάω στην εξάχρονη κόρη μου, προσπαθώ να της επισήσω την ηθική, τη συμπόνια, την αλληλεγγύη και την εμπιστοσύνη προς τους άλλους. Μου είναι όμως πολύ δύσκολο, γιατί σαν πατέρας φοβάμαι πως αυτή την κοινωνία της αγγέλης που ακόμα συντηρούν χωρίς λόγο, η κόρη μου θα πέφτει μονίμως θύμα σε εκείνους που διδαχτήκαν τον ανταγωνισμό, την αδιαφορία, το προσωπικό όφελος με οποιοδήποτε κόστος και την πονηριά εις βάρος των υπολείπων. Τα αποτελέσματα αυτής της διαπαιδαγώγησης βρίσκονται διάχυτα γύρω μας. Οι περισσότεροι έχουμε γαλουχηθεί με αυτά τα πρότυπα. Είμαστε αδιάφοροι, ζούμε παθητικά και βουτυγμένοι στην τεχνητή άγνοια και αφήσαμε τις σύγχρονες πολιτισμένες κοινωνίες να φτάσουν στο χειρότερο σημείο που μπορούν να φτάσουν, σε εκείνο της απάθειας. Ευτυχώς όμως ακόμη σήμερα υπάρχουν δείγματα του τι μπορούν να κάνουν οι άνθρωποι όταν γνώσουν τις δυνάμεις τους και βγουν από τον πολύθρονο της απάθειας. Εγώ προσωπικά δεν θέλω να αναγκαστώ να βρω απάντηση στο πιθανό ερώτημα της κόρης μου, γιατί πατέρα δεν έκανες κάτι για να αλλάξουν όλα αυτά. Γι' αυτό βρίσκομαι εδώ σήμερα και θέλω να πιστεύω και οι περισσότεροι από εμάς για τον ίδιο λόγο. Για να μην αναγκαστούμε ποτέ να απαντήσουμε σε αυτό το ερώτημα. Ήρθε ο καιρός λοιπόν να ενώσουμε τις δυνάμεις μας, να σταματήσουμε την απάθεια και την τεχνητή άγνοια και είμαστε εδώ για να μάθουμε μια νέα προοπτική και να αφιερώσουμε την κοινωνία προς μια νέα κατεύθυνση. Σήμερα είναι μαζί μας ένας άνθρωπος που έχει αφιερώσει τη ζωή του στο σχεδιασμό αυτής της νέας κατεύθυνσης. Οι εμπειρίες που απέκτησε στο διάβα της ζωής του τον οδήγησαν να οραματιστεί έναν κόσμο απαλλαγμένο από τις τρευλώσεις και τις αδικίες του σημερινού κοινωνικού συστήματος. Ένα κόσμο απαλλαγμένο από πολέμους, μίσος, τεχνητούς διαχωρισμούς, κτηνώδη βία, τεχνητή άγνοια και απάθεια. Ο Jacque Fresco έχει εργαστεί παράλληλα σαν βιομηχανικός σχεδιαστής αλλά και σαν εφευρέτης σε μια ευρεία γάμα επιστημονικών πεδίων, από καινοτομίες στην γεωετρική μέχρι την θεώρηση ακέραιων κοινωνικών συστημάτων. Το σχέδιο Αφροδίτη αντικατοπτρίζει ουσιαστικά τον καρπό έργο της ολόκληρης της ζωής του. Η ενσωμάτωση δηλαδή της τελευταίας λέξης της επιστήμης και της τεχνολογίας μέσα σε ένα κατανοητό κοινωνικό σχεδιασμό βασισμένο στον άνθρωπο και την περιβαλλοντική συνείδηση. Είναι ένα παγκόσμιο όραμα ελπίδας για το μέλλον της ανθρωπότητας. Είναι μεγάλη τιμή που έχουμε μαζί μας απόψε για να μας μιλήσουν για αυτή την ανάγκη πορείας του ανθρώπινου πολιτισμού, τον δημιουργό και διευθυντή του σχεδίου Χολίδη Jacque Fresco και την πολύτιμη συνεργάτητά του Roxanne Meadows. Καλώς ήρθατε στην Αθήνα.
A nation without a vision of what the future can be is bound to repeat past errors over and over again. This brief video will outline a vision designed to avoid old mistakes. A vision of efficiency, sustainability, and intelligent planning can lead us into a marvelous new world of unlimited human potential. Designing the future. This vision could be a showcase of what the world can be in our cybernated age. Science and technology could be used for human betterment and the restoration and protection of the environment, serving as an example of the intelligent application of a systems approach. While some people advocate the restoration of existing, worn-out cities, these efforts fall short of the potentials of modern technology. Repairing outmoded cities results in higher costs of operation and maintenance. It is actually less expensive in the long run to build newer cities from the ground up than to restore and maintain old ones. A total city system approach requires overall planning to attain a higher standard of living for all the city's occupants. The circular arrangement efficiently permits the most sophisticated use of available resources and construction techniques with a minimum expenditure of energy. This can make available to all people the most advanced amenities that modern science and technology can provide. It could be the hub and learning center where people from all over the world visit and hopefully emulate this design approach in other parts of the world. Design considerations for these new cities include its overall functioning, its ease of assembly, the reduction of maintenance, efficient transportation, and its simplicity and durability. This will include the flexibility to permit ongoing and later changes. The city would function as an evolving, integrated organism rather than a static structure. This systems approach envisions assembling entire cities by standardizing basic structural elements, which are prefabricated in automated plants and assembled on site. Many of these buildings would be comprised of standard units that can be arranged to meet many different requirements. This approach means that these cities can be extremely cost efficient because only one sector needs to be designed, which can be duplicated repeatedly for the completion of an entire city as totally integrated city systems anywhere in the world. The outer perimeter will be part of the recreational area with golf courses, hiking and biking trails, and opportunities for water sports. Inside this area, a waterway surrounds an agricultural belt with indoor and outdoor agriculture. Continuing toward the city center, 8 green sectors provide clean, renewable resources of energy using wind, solar, and heat concentrators. Waste recycling and other services are located beneath the city. The plan utilizes the best of clean technology in harmony with the surrounding environment. The residential district features beautiful landscaping with lakes and winding streams, a wide range of creative, innovative apartment buildings, and individual unique homes will provide many options for the occupants. New and innovative methods of fast mass construction for housing and building systems will inject composite materials into a mold and then extrude the form upward. In some cases, multiple city apartments can be produced as continuous extrusions, which are then separated into individual units. Cranes transport these prefabricated dwellings to site locations. They are then lifted and inserted into a support structure. The apartments are lightweight and high strength. All of the dwellings are designed as self-contained residences. The outer surface of these efficient structures serve as photovoltaic generators, converting solar radiation directly into electricity for heating, cooling, and other needs. The thermocouple effect will also be used for generating electricity. The wide range of individual homes are prefabricated and relatively maintenance-free, fire-resistant, and impervious to weather. With this type of construction, there'll be little or no damage from floods, earthquakes, or hurricanes. Their thin shell construction can be mass-produced efficiently and economically. New energy-efficient systems can be installed to supply enough power to operate the entire household. Adjacent to the residential district are planning, science, and research centers. 8 domes surrounding the central dome house art, music, exhibition, entertainment, and conference centers. Lovely parks, lakes, streams, and waterfalls are located throughout the entire city. The central dome, or theme center, contains schools, healthcare, shopping, communications networking, and childcare. It is also the core for most transportation services, which move people by transveyors horizontally, vertically, and radially anywhere in the city. This minimizes the need for automobile transportation, except for emergency vehicles. Transportation between cities would be by monorail. The central dome will eventually house a cybernated complex, which serves as the brain and nervous system of the entire city. It projects a 3D virtual image of Earth using satellite communication systems which display information on weather, agriculture, transportation, and the operation of the whole city. This cybernated system will use environmental sensors to help maintain a balanced load economy, which avoids overruns and shortages. For example, in the agricultural belt, electronic probes monitor and maintain the soil conditions, water table, nutrients, and more. This method of electronic feedback can be applied to the entire city complex. With computers now able to process trillions of bits of information per second, they are vital for arriving at correct decisions for the management of these innovative cities. The architectural structures themselves will be jewels of future possibilities, with a wide variety of exhibition buildings. Many of the displays will depict not what the future will be, but what it can be. Some of the cities may be total enclosure systems, which are self-sufficient. These massive structures would contain residences, parks, recreation, entertainment, healthcare, educational facilities, and more. Everything built in these cities would be as near to a self-contained system as conditions allow. In these total enclosure arrangements, the skyscraper assures that more land is available for parks and wilderness preserves, while at the same time eliminating urban sprawl. Wherever possible, geothermal energy can be harnessed. Geothermal power offers the possibility of an abundant source of clean energy. This source alone could provide enough energy for the next 1,000 years. National transportation systems would include a network of waterways and canals. These bodies of water could minimize the threat of floods and droughts by diverting floodwaters to storage basins. In addition, these canals could supply water for irrigation, fish farms, and recreation. The canals can also be used for desalinization using a method of evaporative condensation. In some instances, ships could serve as floating automated plants, capable of processing raw materials into finished products while en route to their destinations. Huge ships and submarines with many removable and interchangeable compartments will carry freight across the oceans. Rather than separate containers, an entire freight section can be automatically disengaged at the port. Bridge designs would be greatly simplified, and bridges can be made corrosion resistant. They would be prefabricated and transported to the site by twin-hulled catamarans. On some bridges, trains could be suspended beneath traffic lanes. Colonization of the oceans is one of the last frontiers remaining on Earth. Prodigious oceanic city communities will evolve as artificial islands, floating structures, undersea observatories, and more. These large marine structures are designed to explore the relatively untapped riches of the oceans and provide improved mariculture, freshwater production, energy, and mining. This could offset land-based shortages. They could also provide almost unlimited riches in pharmaceuticals, chemicals, fertilizers, minerals, oil, and natural gas. Ocean cities would be resistant to earthquakes and greatly relieve land-based population pressures. The population would vary from several hundred to many thousand. Underwater oceanic viewing and research facilities provide expansive panoramic observations of the undersea world in its natural habitat without disturbing the ocean environment. Unsinkable floating sea domes will attract those who prefer unique offshore or island living. In the event of inclement weather, they could easily be towed ashore, mounted and anchored to elevated support structures. Mariculture and sea farming systems are used to cultivate and raise fish and other forms of marine life to help meet nutritional needs. These marine enclosures are designed as non-contaminating integral parts of the ocean environment. If we use science and technology with human and environmental concerns, it could be a vivid future showcase of the human potential when working together to preserve the greatest gift we have, the resources and beauty of our planet Earth. In the final analysis, we are one people and share one planet. If you desire more information on any of the systems seen in this video, visit our website at www.thevenusproject.com.
This evening. I don't know if both mics are on. Can everyone hear me? Yes. Jacque and I also wanted to give a special thanks for all the Zeitgeist members who have helped bring us here and helped make this lecture such a success, and who have been talking about the Venus Project for quite some time now. But and I also wanted to mention that all the designs that you saw in that video were done by Jacque Fresco. Unlike the film you just saw, we live in a world where our social systems are old, our language is old, the way we acquire goods and services is outdated, and our cities are detrimental to our health, chaotic, and a tremendous waste of energy and resources. And our politicians do not provide a way out of these problems. But our technology is racing forward. We're trying to adjust to the rapid advances in technology with obsolete values that no longer work in our technological age. What is needed is a change in our sense of direction and purpose. An alternative vision for a sustainable New World civilization unlike anything that's gone in the past. This is what we are presenting here, and we call it the Venus Project. And its activist arm, organized by Peter Joseph, is called the Zeitgeist Movement. When I refer to sustainability, I mean the well-being of all people in a new system that would help bring them to their highest potential while protecting and preserving the environment. What I am referring to is the intelligent management of the Earth's resources by using the methods of science to organize and manage society. I'm not referring to scientists running things, but the methods of science applied to the way we live to achieve a more humane society for everyone. Almost everyone will prefer using scientific means when it comes to surgery, to the building of aircraft, to skyscrapers, bridges, and to automobiles. Over the centuries, we've developed a consensus that when it comes to matters of personal safety, we choose science and technology because it's been proven to work. Then why don't we use scientific methods and scales of performance when it comes to planning our societies, transportation systems, agriculture, healthcare, and so on? If science has a lot to do with what works, then clearly there's much about today's social and economic system that is not scientific, because things aren't working very well for the majority of the world's people and the environment. If they were, war, poverty, hunger, homelessness, and pollution would have been solved long ago. Unfortunately, our social structures evolved with no overall global planning or an understanding of what shapes our behavior, and these things are not being considered today. The Venus Project wants to apply an intelligent method of planning for planetary survival. If we don't apply the scientific method to the way we live, unnecessary human suffering will continue. We have the technological ability and the resources to feed, house, and shelter everyone on the planet. But our practice of rationing resources through monetary methods never provided the means to do so. Then how do we even begin to solve the problems using the methods of the monetary system that we all live under? The use of money is hardly ever examined, but let's consider it, along with how much it influences our behavior and our values. Money is just an interference factor between what we need and what we're able to get. The use of money results in social stratification and elitism. They say in America that all people are equal, but most people don't buy the kind of car they want or live in the home they want. They buy what they can afford. Many cultures tell their people that they are free, but one is really as free as their purchasing power. How can someone have freedom when they can't get the best medical care or schooling for their children? Most people are slaves to jobs that they really don't like, only because they need the money. Many laws acted for the benefit of corporations that have the money to lobby, bribe, or persuade government officials to make laws that serve their own interests. People say that the monetary system produces incentive. This may be true to a limited extent, but it also produces greed, corruption, crime, war, poverty, and tremendous unnecessary human suffering. We have to look at the entire picture. The monetary system is based on artificial scarcity. For example, food products are sometimes destroyed just to keep the prices up. There's a tremendous waste of energy and resources as a result of frequent superficial design changes in order to create continuous markets. This is very evident in the fashion industry. Our social system is based on the need to continuously buy. You and I, in this system, are merely consumers. There's a tremendous environmental degradation due to the high cost of more appropriate waste disposal. The earth is being plundered for profit. The recent oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico is a good example of this. But one of the greatest wastes of resources and lives is the use of military force. How shameful that it is one of the most profitable industries in the world. It's little understood just how much our values are shaped by our monetary society. Our values are influenced by the media for the benefit of the establishment. For the most part, they determine the public agenda to serve their own interests. They perpetuate the illusion that society's values are determined by the ground up. They do this with empty words such as freedom, patriotism, and democracy. What we have all over the world is managed news by and for the establishment. They influence the books, the newspapers, TV, movies, education, and entertainment, which in turn shapes our values and behaviors. Most important, when the corporation's bottom line is profit, the decisions are made not for the benefit of people or the environment, but for the acquisition of wealth, property, and power. For instance, if your country really cared about you, they wouldn't outsource jobs for lower wages elsewhere. Unfortunately, they are forced to do this to maintain the competitive edge. What if all the money in the world suddenly disappeared? As long as we have arable land, factories, technical personnel, and other resources, we could build anything we wanted to build, or fulfill most of our needs. The Venus Project advocates that with today's ingenuity, we could easily overcome scarcity, which is the cause of most of our problems, such as war, corruption, aberrant behavior. We could accomplish this by implementing a resource-based economy. This is a very different concept than anything that's gone before. It has nothing in common with socialism, communism, capitalism, or fascism. To put it simply, a resource-based economy uses resources rather than money, and all people have free access to their needs without the use of money, credit, barter, taxation, or servitude of any kind. All the Earth's resources are held as the common heritage of all the Earth's people. The real wealth of any nation is not its money, but its resources and the people who are working toward the elimination of scarcity for a more humane society for everyone. If this is still confusing to you, consider this. If you and other people were stranded on an island with great financial wealth, but the islands had no arable land, no fish, no clean water, your wealth would be irrelevant to your survival. It is not money that people need, but rather the access to the necessities of life. In a resource-based economy, science and technology and resources are used directly to enhance the lives of all people. If we manage our resources wisely, we could easily produce the necessities of life and provide a very high standard of living for everyone. This may be hard to understand, but even the wealthiest of today would have a much higher standard of living within a resource-based economy. In a resource-based economy, all people would be educated to be problem solvers, instead of the parasitic professions used within the monetary system that don't contribute anything to the well-being of people. I'll let you determine what that might be. When all the Earth's resources are shared, there will be no need for the military. This savage profession could easily be surpassed in a resource-based economy. These people are trained merely to be killing machines. How wonderful it would be if they were trained to be problem solvers instead and taught how to bridge the difference between nations without violence. When all of the Earth's resources are managed as the common heritage of all the world's people, the artificial barriers that separate nations would no longer be necessary. Invasion of countries purely for resource theft would be a thing of the past. In a resource-based economy, instead of fighting one another over scarce resources, people will be working toward solving problems that are common to everybody, such as the threat of heart disease, or cancer, or tsunamis, or earthquakes, and so on. Remember that almost every new concept was ridiculed, rejected, and laughed at when it was first presented especially by the experts of the times. All new ideas for social betterment, including women's rights, black rights, and child labor, always were met with great resistance. During the time of the Wright brothers, the distinguished scientists of the day were writing books explaining why man can't fly. The Wright brothers didn't read their books and went right ahead and built the flying machine. When science is applied with human and environmental concern, we can easily create abundance for all. We will eventually understand that most crimes that fill our jails are a result of the need to acquire money and property in an age of often contrived scarcity of the monetary system. Children will look back and wonder why we couldn't see the limitations of this system. Being civilized is an ongoing process. There are no utopias and no final frontiers. All things change and are in a continuous process of social evolution. Those countries that try to freeze things and keep things as they are will be surpassed. Thank you.
Can you hear me back there? The hearing aids don't work too good. I'm going to speak, I hope, loud enough for you to hear me. When I was a kid in New York City, I was always poor, so was my family. And the guy that owned the movie theater was Greek. And the Greeks did own a lot of movie theaters. And he said to me, if you want to win free, you have to learn a Greek song. I said, what song is that? And he taught me Samyotisa. I was only 12 years old, and as I remember it, it's Samyotisa, Samyotisa. I don't even know what it means. So that's how I used to go to the movies, singing that song. What I want to tell you is very different than the way you were brought up. And during the question period, you can ask any questions. Don't be polite. If I fail to answer your question, say you didn't answer my question. If you're polite, you won't learn anything. First thing I want to say is that the language that we use was designed hundreds of years ago, and that makes it almost impossible to talk to people. I know you don't feel that, but when you talk to people, it goes in their head and comes out a little different than you mean it. Because our language has very little meaning. And if you really are interested in this subject, look at our website, and the book is called Tyranny of Words, how people take your words and twist them around. And so, to try to demonstrate that that's true, somebody says to you, have a nice weekend. Why don't they say, have a nice life? Why just the weekend? So, we really don't talk to each other, we talk at each other. Then there's another BS word, meaning bullshit word, and that is love. Don't get mad at me, listen. I'm sure everybody here does not like everything you've ever done. Is that right? We've all done a lot of stupid things, bad things in the past. So sometimes you like yourself that much, sometimes a little less, sometimes not at all. And if you live with a replica of yourself, how long will you be together? Sometimes you like yourself, sometimes you don't. And when you fall in love, This is true now. Sometimes you love your wife very much, sometimes less. Sometimes, how do I get into this situation? So love is a fluctuating thing. It's not stationary. Nothing is. And people think that Fresco is a utopian. He wants to build a utopia. There's no such thing. If I were to design a society, a new city, that city would be a straitjacket to the kids of the future. They'll design their own city. You can't make the best laptop or computer. You can only make the best laptop you know how to make up to now. But in the future they'll be smaller, lighter, faster, better, but never final. There are no final frontiers. Now, if you want children to be intelligent, schools don't know how to do that. Whenever the teacher says, that's wrong, that doesn't tell you anything. Think about what I'm saying. If I say, that's wrong, what does that tell you? Nothing. If the teacher says, that's not what I told you, that doesn't tell you anything. So teachers don't know how to teach. If a cat comes into the room, the teacher says, this is how we spell cat. C-A-T. And the kid comes back with a K. And the teacher says, that's wrong. What's wrong? That's wrong. No good. We say to kids, the two areas are very close. You're very close to the answer. We just change the K to a C. If you use the word wrong, it hurts the kid. And if you give one kid A and another a C and some a D, it makes jealousy and envy. When you got two kids, if you have a favorite kid that you pick up and play with, say at 3 years old, the 7-year-old standing there, that lower lip goes up. And so you must take both kids, never use one kid against the other. I'm trying to tell you how far we are from really being educated. Schools do not educate people. They're mostly propaganda. They're mostly proud to be American. I'm proud to be a Greek. I'm proud to be a Frenchman. That separates people. All people need clean air, clean water, arable land, and a relevant education. That means an education on how to live, how to find meaning in your own life. But you're educated today not to do that. You're educated to fit in and become a doctor, a lawyer, a businessman, an investor, a banker. Bankers contribute nothing to the system. They make it tough for people, put you in debt. Lawyers contribute absolutely nothing, and politicians less. But I don't want you to take my word for it. I want you to walk over to any politician you know and say, how would you bridge the difference between nations without war? I don't know. How would you increase agriculture so you can feed the hungry? I don't know. Or how can you make buildings and cities fireproof? I don't know. How can you design cities? I don't know. Politics was great 100 years ago, but it's dead today. It doesn't do anything. They don't know how to do anything. They're businessmen and lawyers. They mean well. They're not corrupt. They don't know how to solve problems. Now let me give you an idea. In America, I can only talk about America, so that's where I spend most time. Sometimes there are signs on the road. Drive carefully. Slippery when wet. So we put a bracelet in the highway so it's not slippery when wet, and take down the sign. Sometimes there's a sign that says, drive carefully, school children crossing. Well, in the Venus Project, when a kid wants to cross, he presses a button and the pavement turns up, so no car can hit a kid. Do you understand what I'm saying? Sometimes I meet people that say, I'm a nature lover. I love nature. You mean you love earthquakes, hurricanes, or tsunamis, depression, disease? That's all natural. Nobody is really a nature lover. Earthquake kills thousands of people. How can you be a nature lover? You love some aspects of nature, some you don't. You understand what I'm talking? We don't even have a talk today. We don't even know what questions to ask politicians. Ask them how they can solve problems. They don't know how. Any nation that has armies, navies, marines, soldiers, doesn't know what the hell it's doing. We need, instead of making soldiers into killing machines, in the Venus Project, we send them to school to become problem solvers. After all, that is what exists, problems. So if you don't want automobile accidents, don't put a list on drive safely. Put a proximity device on the car so cars can't hit one another. You know what that means? There's a sensor that sends out a signal. When I was a kid, a pilot would look out of an airplane and say, I'm about a mile high. Today we have Doppler radar. The radar goes down, bounces back, and tells you you're 5,250 feet, 6 inches off the ground. No human can do that. It is not a machine takeover, that's Hollywood. Machines tell you, they tell you that the machine's going to take over. They're going to become so smart. Not true, because machines have no feelings, none whatsoever. They have no ambition. So if you use your computer Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and never turn it off, you say, give me a day off, will you? What's the matter with you guys? They don't feel, they don't care. Machines don't care. They don't want to take over society. These Hollywood jackasses are writing movies of machines choking the design. The only thing you have today, the electric light, the automobile, all machines. Sometimes I meet a human being, or they come out to my lab and they tell me that I belong to a new society of higher consciousness. I'm sure you heard that crap. Higher consciousness. Let me tell you a little bit about higher consciousness. I met the head of the organization. I said, where's your kidney? He says, I'm not sure. How fast is the blood moving through your veins and arteries? I don't know. What do you mean by higher consciousness? We can only be as conscious as our receptors. There are radio waves moving here which none of us can see. There are germs on the table you can't see, only with a microscope. So whenever a person says, I believe in higher consciousness, I don't know what the hell they're talking about. You know what I mean? You can only be as conscious as your receptors. But with a microscope, magnetic detectors, you can increase human awareness. No human being is complete, ever. There's no utopias, no best cities, no best automobiles we can design. It's an ongoing process without end. No final frontiers. So if you think that man is going to arrive at some place, that's what the matter is with religion. I don't like to hurt your feelings about religion. I wish to be very honest with you. It says in the Bible, thou shalt not kill. It doesn't say you kill Wednesdays and Saturdays. It says thou shalt not kill. It says love thine enemy. If a man strikes you, turn the other cheek. It says judge not, lest you be judged. It means don't judge other people because you don't know enough about what made them that way. It also says in the Bible, there but for the grace of God go I. So you're lucky. So what I'm trying to tell you is we judge other people. And some girls think, well, you know how men are. All they think is sex. When I was 21, I went to the South Pacific Islands. And when I got there, it was a strange phenomenon to me. Everybody walked around naked. Everybody. And I scratched my head, and there were no peeping toms. And when men look at women, they look at the eyes, never the body. And here in this world, you cover everything. If you cover the girl's nose, said to a guy, you ever see a girl's nose? No, show him a little bit, he has to loosen his collar. It depends on the way you're brought up. So the people brought up in the South Seas never collected naked pictures of women. They never bought magazines because everybody was swimming nude when they were kids. And they had no fetish. In other words, if you bring up people to look at the breast, the butt. The camera in Hollywood moves in on the cleavage line of women. Then when they're walking, it's on their butt, on their legs. That's where men get it from. They're not born that way. Women think, oh, that's the way men are. They aren't that way. They're brought up that way. Now, if you were brought up by the headhunters of the Amazon as a baby, if you never saw anything else, you'd be a headhunter. Is he bad? No. That's the culture he comes from. And if I said to you, doesn't it bother you to have 5 shrunken heads? He says, yes. My brother has 20. So, is he bad? No. If you were brought up in Nazi Germany as a baby, all you see is Heil Hitler, Deutschland über alles, Germany above all. Are you bad? No, it's all you know. So as long as they pull books out of schools, good books that teach you things, there's a lot of wonderful books missing from the library. Because people would like it if you didn't think too much. Then they can control you. The idea is to educate people to the real world, how it works. Let's talk about religion. Jesus, when I went to church, they told me that God knows everything. He made every bug, every plant, every universe, every star. And then Jesus proceeds to insult him. Just before he was crucified, he says, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. As though God was, gee, I didn't know that. Don't you see, man doesn't have the capacity. The gods he makes are more like himself. Guy that gets angry, creates floods, disease, and if you don't follow the religion completely, you burn eternally. That sounds like a psychopath. Man cannot conceive of God. He's not intelligent enough. And the Bible, I go to church, and I see people saying, she was married twice, or she was married 3 times, and they go to show off their clothing. Very few people understand the teaching of religion. What the Venus Project is, it takes all religion and brings the earth together without the exploitation of women, children, war, navies, armies, killing. Never. None of that stuff. The Venus Project, some people say, well, is that communism? Communism uses armies, navies, money, political stratification. We don't have any of that. And it's not a machine takeover. I'll just tell you what it is. About 9 months ago, an electronic company was able to handle 1,000 trillion bits of information per second. No humans can do that. Think about it. They can't. So in the future, you'll have a government of machines connected to industry, production, agriculture, everything, but it will not control people. Just the production of goods and services, making it available to people. So when the new machines come in, this is what happens. You get the help together, and you say, instead of working 8 hours a day, you now work 4 hours a day. Because machines do hundreds of times the work people do. And somebody said to me, well, can a machine be better than the designer? Well, I know a guy that designed a machine that moves bottles along the line. And there's multiple, hundreds of injectors that go into the bottle, fill it fast. He can't move those bottles as fast as machines. I know a little guy that designed a machine to pick up a freight train and empty it. He can't do that. I know a man that designed airplanes to fly 4,000 miles an hour. He can't run 4,000 miles an hour. Machines are always faster than men. So when I say a machine government, I do not mean machines controlling people. I mean machines that can do a job better than people. If you don't understand that, when I was younger, there were women who used to operate elevators. They'd turn the crank. The elevator never quite got to the floor, And they were doing that a lot. And today you press 20 and the elevator starts there, and there's no human being in it. The sooner you get rid of a human being in government, the less corruption you have. You'll have no corruption. Now, when you fly in an airplane today, You don't have to write the pilot, say you've been flying at an angle, straighten up. He knows his business. The navigator knows how to get you to Alaska or California. They tell you to write your congressman if you want women's rights. Well, he's such a jackass that you have to write him. He should know all about geology, continental drift, the weather, climate, tsunamis. Should know a lot about the earth and how it works. They know nothing about that. This is true. Don't take my word for it. So what I'm trying to say to you, the language of the future will be something like this. When you see an airplane without wings, normal people say it'll never fly, it doesn't have wings. The proper way to talk is, I know nothing about technology. How do you lift off the ground without wings? When you say, someday man will go to the moon and Mars, not in 1,000 years. That's an opinion. And they bring everybody up to have a right to their own opinion. If you lived across the street from me, and I see 10 guys coming out of your apartment, I can have all kinds of opinions. You can be a language instructor, an art instructor, a ballet instructor. But if you give everybody a right to their own opinion, you would think we'll ever get to Mars 10,000 years from now. Well, who the hell is he? Does he know anything about rockets, space travel? No. And you give everybody a right to their own opinion, you damage the future. You really do. So really, we can bring an end to war. We can bring an end to exploitation of human beings. We can bring an end to poverty, but we have to use a different system. I'm going to tell you about the system. I'll try to explain it in as much detail as I can in the shortest time. We must declare the earth the common heritage of all the world's people. We must remove all the artificial boundaries that separate people. If a few nations control most of the earth's resources, you're going to have war, territorial disputes, dissatisfaction. Just think of what I'm saying. War is made by situations. We think that some people are good, some are bad. Another lie. All people can become Leonardo da Vinci, great writers, great artists, because artists don't know how to instruct people. They really don't. They've been drawing for so many years. If I say, when did you learn to speak? She doesn't say Saturday, February the 8th. First was da, 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 da. You know, did you learn to speak? Where did language come from? Somebody, they tell you in school that they invented language to communicate. Now, somebody banged his elbow, oh, then he banged his elbow, oh, and then he ate something good, and that's where language came from. It came from what you encounter in life, situation. An animal comes, and another guy, that means the same animal. So language evolved. That means something more difficult to understand. That man invents nothing. You're brought up to believe that some people, like Leonardo da Vinci, was a great man ahead of his time. No. The times were behind Leonardo da Vinci. Now, where did Leonardo get all that stuff? He associated with people that talked about gears and levers and wheels. You don't know that. You think something in his head came from outer space. That's where you become mystical. And they tell you that the wheel was the beginning of civilization. That man invented a wheel. Not possible. A tree fell over another tree and he pulled it and the bottom one rolled. That's where they got the wheel on there. Nobody sat down and said, gotta make a wheel, or I gotta make language, or I gotta make steps. When you climb a hill, if you step on the severe incline, you slip. If you look for a little flat area, you get up the hill. After you live there 10 years, it looks like steps. But nobody comes to the hill and says, I gotta make steps to get up there. They evolve. Now, just to show you how your memory works, if you know what a rose smells like, if you go to Madagascar and you see something that looks like a rose, but it has black dots on it, and she smells it, and the eyes and nose burn for a week, the next rose she gets, she goes, you understand? Man, in France, a man made 2 wings. They were only 3 feet long on each side, and he jumped off the Eiffel Tower, which was long before the Wright brothers, and he died. And his brother-in-law wrote, "Make wings larger." There is no way to know. Man never makes a mistake. The first guy that fooled with nitric acid and glycerin, the building blew up and the guy disappeared, and his cousin wrote, "Never fool with that stuff." There's no way man can know except make the wings too small and it won't go up in the air. I think Dr. Ehrlich did 606 experiments that didn't work before he can control certain venereal disease. And Edison said he made 7,000 different filaments and they burned out. So nobody discovers anything right away. It takes a long time. Today, many doctors think, maybe I'll try to find the cause of cancer. Like there's a cause. And my kid said to me, "Daddy, what makes an airplane fly?" He says, "Is it the propeller?" I said, "No. If you don't have an engine turning, that propeller won't turn." "Is it the engine?" "No. If you don't put fuel in there, it won't burn." "Is it the fuel?" "No. If there's no oxygen, the fuel won't." It's many interacting variables. That's what causes cancer, not one thing. There's no cause. Now, when you say this man, this terrible man's a serial killer, he kills 20 women, we get mad at that guy. That guy was brought up under certain conditions you never heard of. What do you think the Ku Klux Klan is? There are people that live in the South in America, and they speak with a Southern accent, and they're uneducated, most of them. And when you say they're members of the Ku Klux Klan, stop speaking with a Southern accent. They can't. And they say things like this: "I'm gonna get you a nigger and I'm gonna kick his ass." That's a reflection of the culture, not the man. Every man, woman, and child is shaped by culture. There is no freedom anywhere. They tell you, in China you do this. If you were brought up as a baby in China, you do that. And if you were brought up by the headhunters of the Amazon, you'd be a headhunter as a baby if you never saw anything else. So we don't blame anybody anymore for what they are. We educate them back to norm. If you understand what I'm talking about, the Bible says, "Judge not, lest you be judged." And everybody does jury duty. So I'm trying to tell you that all lawyers would be considered criminals in the future. As long as they got their hands in their own pockets, they're all right. You know what that is. So when you think about it, if your kids are playing with kids that are detrimental to their behavior, you try to take them away. If you want to produce a pilot, you put them in an aviation environment. If you want to produce an architect, you put them in an architectural environment. So if you're brought up by Seminole Indians, and I say, "You can have anything you want, what do you want?" She doesn't say, "Stainless steel refrigerator," or "I want Mercedes," because Indians aren't exposed to that. An Eskimo that never saw movies, never traveled, he never dreams of flying or walking on a beach with palm trees and coconuts. He can't. It isn't there. A blind person touches things. They touch combs, the scissors, and they can tell you very fast what they're touching. The interesting thing about blind people is when they dream, the fingers move. You understand that? We don't. We have eyes and senses. Our job is, what is a human being? How do they work? What makes them that way? Well, today in school they say he's gifted. If he's gifted, why give him any credit? You understand? If you're born beautiful and you win a beauty contest, she didn't make her face out of clay, a facial, then you can give her a medal. But you have such stupid things today. In ancient Rome, the whole family would come to see Christians being fed to lions because they believed in 20 gods. And this guy, Jesus, talked of one God. So they got mad at the Christians and they put him in an arena. and they starve the lions for a week and take the clothes off the cushion to put on the good show. The whole family would come weekend to see Christians fed the lions. And the kids would say, Daddy, can we come next week to see Christians fed the lions? Daddy would say, they behave yourself. Is the daddy bad or the kids bad? No. That was normal to that culture. In this world today, you go to prize fights where men punch the heads of other men, damages the brain. And that's normal to our culture. You know what I mean? Football, baseball, some guys running with the ball. Same story over and over again. Nothing new there. And they show you those things, or kicking a ball and running through the field. That's a nothing thing. If a man came from Mars and he said, Fresco, what's that thing on your wrist? I say, I can't remember intervals of time. So if I have an appointment, this is better than I am at remembering the time. So he said, what's that thing on your wife's ears hanging down? Well, that's an ornament. Yes, but what does it do? Does it improve her hearing? Does it communicate with people? Does it tell her when she's got fever? I mean, it's a nothing thing. There are so many things that we are brought up to believe in that are nothing things. And as long as they fill your head with that, you'll see kids walking down the street holding a radio against their ears. Because as long as that music is going, they hold it there. You know what that does? It connects the brain with sound only, no information. When I was a kid, I wanted to know how planes fly. My parents didn't know that. So I went to the library, and this is with great anxiety. I couldn't imagine how a plane can fly on the thin air. So I went to the library, and I got a book out on the Wright brothers, and I opened it fast because I wanted to know. And it starts out, it was a sunny day in May, and Mrs. Orville Wright was hanging holding on Wright. I didn't want to know that. I wanted to know how planes fly. So 90% of the book was sunny day in May. Near the end of the book, they killed the pigeon and put wiring in its wing to keep them out there. And they moved the wings back and forward until they learned how to balance it. That was the information. Many writers today are paid by the amount of words. And none of those words are mostly bullshit. They have no information. Most of your novels, your television shows are the same. The guy is in love with a girl, another guy hates him. It's always the same story, having an affair. They never say they're having sex relations, they're having an affair. I've been to over 100 restrooms, never found a place to rest. I am trying to free you from the chains of the way you're brought up. When you're very young, they pump crap in your head. You're a Lutheran, you don't play with that Catholic. You're a Mexican, you don't play with that. And they pump all kinds of crap in your head. And then they tell you that sex is something you do when you get married. Well, if that's true, the pecker would come out the day you got married. You understand that? The world you live in is as full of shit as a Christmas turkey. Really. There is no profanity. Maybe if you bake a pie and drop it, she might say fiddly-dee. The guy might say shit. That means I'm sorry I dropped the pie. Has nothing to do with shit. When a guy says bullshit, I can't accept what you're saying. It has nothing to do with the shit of a bull. No. There's nothing, no bad words. It's just brought up on different societies, use different terms. And so when you're brought up in a different country, they say you're American, you want to be proud of it. You understand that if you're brought up in Ireland, you'd say, he's a fine Irish lad. That's the way you'd speak. And if you're brought up in Australia, you say, how are you, mate? That's what you pick up from your environment. Your facial expressions, everything. And if you're brought up in Italy, come on, they eat, this is good, the food. Now, the Italian is not born that way. He picks it up from his environment. So a gangster is made, a serial killer is made, but most people don't know how they're made. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about how they're made, the stuff you never get in school. This kid was 7 years old, and he was touching his private parts. His mother was an old-time Baptist. She said, you're going to burn in hell touching that part of your body. You will burn eternally. That kid was shaking. So his mother says at 2 in the morning, he was screaming. So she went into the bedroom. He stuck needles into his genitals because he didn't want to go to hell. You understand that? And he used to take minority kids in the woods and try to cut their genitals off to save them from hell. What do you think a soldier is? He's a guy that's showing pictures of Japanese raping, doing terrible things. He's out there ready to machine gun. War is a socially offensive pattern of behavior run by stupid people. And war is big business. Don't ever forget that. A lot of people make a lot of money selling machine guns, submarines, $1 billion apiece. So, how do you take a boy out of church and get him to become a killing machine? You show movies called Why We Fight, made by Frank Capra. Shows Japanese with crooked teeth, Chinese people, actors with crooked teeth, they put in them. And they rape women, kill women, bayonet them, and enlistment went up 75% after that movie. So you can get people to do anything you want, burn Christians. Now in Salem, Massachusetts, I'm sure some of you know this, they used to burn witches alive. Why did they do that? Because a woman might have disagreed with a certain religious quote or something, and they called her a witch. Now here's what you didn't know. Every witch that you found, you inherited their bank account and their land. Did you know that? Okay. So it's a good deal to find as many witches as you can. So when they say, give me the good old days, I don't know what people are talking about. The good old days, George Washington was the first president of the United States. He had 300 slaves. How many of you knew that? He was a multi-millionaire, a stupid individual of the highest order. Then you have President Truman. He was a hat salesman. You know that? Totally unqualified. So Oppenheimer and Einstein approached him and said, we now have an atom bomb. Why don't you drop it off the coast of Japan about 30 miles out and tell them you have a terrible weapon, surrender. We don't want to drop it on the city. So Truman said, get those guys out of here. I don't even want them in my building. The man was super stupid. He dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and that builds hatred over the years. Killing people builds cumulative hatred. And if you're not taught that in school, you become a dummy. You see the medals, the guy flies over the city, presses a button, and the city burns away, and he gets 3 medals. So he walks around with great pride. People think, I wonder if the guy sleeps well at night. He sleeps very well. As long as you give him a medal and put marks on the fuselage of his airplane of how many planes he shot down. I worked for a German leader of the German Air Force. His name was Ernst Ude. And I asked him, how did you shoot down 70 airplanes? That was his record. He said, with a German accent, it was very easy. I fly above the squadrons and I look for a rookie, a guy that can't fly too well, and pick him off. How else can you get 70 planes? Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm trying to help you in every way I can. If you think I'm against somebody, or a communist, or a fascist, I'm none of those things. I don't believe in any system today. I believe that all governments are basically corrupt, because they don't know any better. So, I'm going to open this section to questions. And please, don't be polite. If I don't ask you a question, answer your question, so you didn't answer my question. If you're polite, nothing will happen. So let's go.
Here. I am here. Okay. Hello. How about the transition plan? How we go from this society to the wellness project without conflict, without violence,
violence.
Okay. The transition will be violent. You won't, when you fight for women's rights, women used to march and they threw rotten eggs at them. When you try to build a public library, the people that own bookstores were against people that said, let's make books available to people free. They said they won't buy books if you did that. Well, why do you want to do that? So here's what happened. The women marched for years. They finally got the library in. And people read a little bit and they bought more books than ever because they knew more. They were wrong saying if you give them something for nothing. People say to me, that's the trouble with you, Jacque. You want to give people things for nothing. Just being born in any advanced country, you got the electric light for nothing. The telephone, the automobiles, medicine. You didn't invent electric lights, washing machine. You got electric lights. You got all that for nothing. Just being born in an advanced country. You got beauty, nature for nothing. But nations took land away from other nations. Where do you think America got America from? You think the Indians said, come and take our land and enjoy yourself? No, they killed thousands of Indians, killed 15 million buffalo to starve the Indians. Then we took California from Spain and New Mexico from Mexico and killed a lot of Mexicans. After we stole all the land we needed, we put up the sign, thou shalt not steal. And that's all nations, not just America. They're all corrupt. I hate to say this. I don't mean anything by it except that they don't know how to be decent. They don't know how to use the resources of the earth. They don't, look, I'm going to try to prove that nations don't care about you. They sell cigarettes. Cigarettes always produce cancer. They take 20 years, 15 years, somewhere around that time, cancer of the lung, heart disease, cigarettes. Why does government commit the sale of cigarettes? They get a piece of the action, taxation, and make money. If governments loved people, they wouldn't outsource to China. You'd be still working for the company. But they outsource to China because it's cheaper. And instead of, this is what I do, when the new machine came in, I get the help together and say, now you work 4 hours a day instead of 8 hours a day. Your salary goes up and its goods and services become more available. And also, you give them a longer vacation, 2 months, instead of a week off every year. Don't you see? So you can spend more time with your kids. So governments and business work for profit. It is not their business to take care of you. If you own a factory and you build a playground for the children of the women that work in your plant, then you pay half the insurance because you love people. You're a real Christian. See? Your business would not get any investment. People invest in a company that has higher earnings. And if you did that, your earning pattern would be lower. So being decent, let's say I turn out laptop computers faster than your company. So I'm a nice guy, so I share my production methods with you. I can't maintain the competitive edge. Do you understand that? If you work in my department store, and a woman comes up to you, she says, how much is that lamp? You say $20. She says, I'll take 2. But you being a decent person, you tell her, if you go 2 stores down, you get the same lamp for $10. You wouldn't be working for me very long. So people have fine print. When you buy automobiles, fine print tells you the negative things. It's hard to read. That's with intent to deceive. So King Solomon, we all brought up to admire. He had 1,000 wives. Today he'd be arrested as a bigamist. The people you admire today are bums, thieves, and liars. All politicians say things people like to hear. Wish you a lot of luck. Everything's going to be all right. Don't worry about it. We're going to pull out of this recession. If they told the truth, they'd never get elected. You understand that? Scientists, if most people believe the earth is flat, they don't say, folks, it's a little round and a little flat, and you get along with everything. They say you're wrong. Here's the evidence we have. to show that the earth is round. They tend to, you're wrong, but politicians don't. Politicians are deceptive. They never get elected if they were honest. And so, I'm trying to say to you that people are shaped by culture. We will design a new civilization where everyone has access to whatever they need without the use of money. To use the earth intelligently means to give people the best education, the most nutritious food. Today, they spray food with poison to keep the insects off. In the future, you use high-pitched sound. You can keep insects off, and you spray no poison. You understand what I'm talking about? People do not die in airplane crashes. They die from fire. The plane hits the ground, then the fuel leaks out over the hot engine, it explodes. So what do we do different? Whenever you're coming in for landing, when your landing gear doesn't come down, if for some reason the wheels didn't come down, the fuel is blown out by an inert gas. That's to save you from fire. What the Venus Project is, thousands of solutions to problems. Not saying if you vote for us, we'll have a better job and all that stuff. We're trying to solve problems, to teach people how to relate to one another, how to find meaning in your life. If you want to be an artist, you can go to school. Kids in America hang out in shopping centers, malls. Hundreds of kids. There should be art centers, music centers, cultural centers for kids to go to. That's all I'm talking about. Any other questions?
Let me ask again. I will not be polite. We talk about violence. There will be a Meadows project army to conflict with today's society to win and to apply the Meadows project to the world. That is my question. When we talk about violence, what do we mean?
I couldn't understand that.
Mr. Jacque says there will be violence in the transition. Okay.
He's saying there'll be violence. What do you mean? Is that what you're saying? There'll be violence?
Yes.
People are violent because they learned it from movies. Two guns, cowboys, and they never said that was discussed anything. They get rid of their opposition. When I was a kid, movies were about shooting one another. They weren't about discussion and ideas. And most of your television shows are not news. They're managed news to keep the news to you so you won't get angry. And they modify things. And everything's going to work out all right. Don't worry.
We're saying that there will be violence. This is not something that we advocate at all. But most people aren't intelligent or emotionally intelligent enough to sit back and say, what's the matter with society? What direction do we need to go into? You're not taught that. You don't have those options on your news and your books and your magazines. The news is managed. Everything will be all right. You know what I mean? In America, you don't hear anything that's bad on the news against the government almost. So just because people aren't intelligent enough, it will take them losing their jobs, losing confidence in their elected leaders, losing their homes before they'll begin to look around and say, this isn't working. Where do we go? What do we do? So I see no other organization out there that is working on a new direction to move toward that isn't just trying to do patchwork in this system. And it's this system that's causing the problems. So we are introducing an entirely new system, not for the benefit of any religious group, any particular group of differential advantage, or politicians. We're advocating a society for the benefit of all people and the environment.
είναι δυνατόν να φτιάξουμε δημιουργικά σπίτια που να μοιάζουν με αυτά του Best Project σήμερα. Και για το άμα μπορούμε να φτιάξουμε ένα χωριό σε στυλ του Best Project. Ευχαριστώ.
We have the technology to do this in 1927. It's not the technology that we're lacking. It's the understanding of this direction. If we built a first city and we moved people into this city with the same values that we have today, we're going to have the same problems. So right now, we're at an educational stage to introduce this direction, and we ask people to learn more about it so they can go out and answer questions that people have about this direction and introduce it to people in any way they can, because we see a lot of terrible times ahead, and if enough people don't know about this direction and can advocate it and can work towards it, we see a lot of problems. So what we want to do is a major motion picture. One of the things we want to do to show people what the future could be like in a resource-based economy, and then show flashbacks of how we get from here to there. We look at it as social therapy. At the end of the film, we'd like to be showing that we're digging ground on the first city, so it doesn't just dump it in people's laps. We have something to work toward.
Let me tell you a little bit so you'll understand it better. I never taught my little boy and my little girl how to read. I used to read to them at night in bed about things kids love. And then I go like that and hold the book at the most interesting part. And the kid would say, "Daddy, what happened?" I said, "Well, look, if you learn to read, you can find out yourself. Give them a reason to want to read. Don't teach them arithmetic, spelling, reading without a reason to want to read." Now, never pick up a young child and play with it when you got an older child. Put the older child on your lap and the young child and say, "This is the game you play." But if you use one kid against the other, you produce jealousy and anger. So, in the future, mothers will have to go to school before they raise children to know what it is you have to do to make them smart. But if I grab my kid's toy and fix it for him, and the mother fixed everything else, you produce a block. You wonder why the kid doesn't think. So when my little girl came into my lab when she was 3 years old, I put a wrench on the nut the wrong way, and it kept slipping off. I do that intentionally. Then I put it on the wrong way again. My 3-year-old put it in, and says, "That's no way to do it." So I put it on the wrong way. She said, "I'll have to show you." You put it on the right way. To get my kid to think about things, not just follow her daddy. I don't want people to follow me. I want you to listen to what I say. If it makes sense, do it. Join with us. I don't want to run people's lives. I don't want to control anybody. I don't feel good controlling people. I'd rather have a lab and try to understand. So in the future, instead of military, we will devote all our time to problems that affect all people. Heart disease, cancer, cystic fibrosis, brain disorders, starvation, hunger. We'll deal with that. In Africa, 2 million people die every year of malaria. And the government sprays oil on the farm to keep the mosquitoes from getting out of the water. But that kills the fish and the mosquitoes. So what we do is we put a light under the water at night, and all malaria mosquitoes head for the light and they drown. And the fish eat it and you get more food and no poison. Do you understand that? Okay. That's what we need. Solutions to problems, not military solutions. Military people are enormously stupid and poorly informed. I'm talking about the top military people in the Pentagon are very stupid individuals. They think in terms of defense. There is nothing you can do for defense. For example, when you go into an airport today, they x-ray you and they x-ray your baggage. I wouldn't do this. I can design clothing that gives off poison gas and doesn't show up on x-ray. Whatever you can think of, somebody else can think of something else. There's no security except learning to live together in peace. That's the only security. To build a bridge between nations.
Okay, thank you. First of all, listening to you was a bit like listening to Socrates after 2,000 years. I won't use the Microsoft because it's in the listening to you was like listening to Socrates, the ancient Greek, when you said that all people are born like a carte blanche. I would like to ask a question though. I saw the movie Zeitgeist, and in the movie there were some aspects of theosophy. So my question is, because listening to you, I thought that you believe only in science and core logic. But on the other hand, what is theosophy? It's a difficult question. What is theosophy inside the movie? Because if we want to leave all religions out, then theosophy is another thing. It's an honor to having met both of you. For me, you're great people, honestly. So this is my question.
If I got your question right, you're asking what role philosophy has?
Theosophy. No, it's not theology, it's theosophy. Helena Blavatsky.
He's asking what role theosophy has.
Theosophy is a philosophy of human contact and warmth. Theosophy lays out no methods that I know of. I've been to hundreds of theosophy meetings, and I never heard a solution to problems, what to do, except bring out the best in people. How do you do that? No information. You see, information means providing a solution to a problem. We're saying, be nice, be kind, love one another, doesn't tell you how to do that. So when I was a kid, most of you don't know this, I said to myself, how are we going to change the world? There's so many different concepts. In the Arab world, the guy has 10 wives. In this world, their gods are different. The Jewish God says, if a man takes his son's eye out, you take his son's eye out. The new God says, if a man strikes you, turn you. You will work in area Z. You, area K. That's Hollywood makes movies like that. Or the robot chokes the adventure. You know, or Star Trek. You go into the future and they're killing each other with laser weapons. That's not the future. That's the future made by artists or Hollywood to sell. So I'm telling you, it's possible to build a future on Earth. The word love, I told you before, is an artificial word because it fluctuates.
Jacque, there's a question over there.
Yes.
So what you're saying is, if we want to change the world, we have first of all to start changing ourselves. It's going to be our personal evolution before it becomes a global revolution.
Well, we're asking people to learn about this direction, and if you identify with it, there's a lot of studying to do with it. We have a book list on our website to learn about different sections. It's not so much learning about well, it is in some ways about learning about yourself, but not in terms of the way the spiritual people talk about it, but learning about why people behave the way they do, how societies are developed, what money is in the society, how we operate the society. Learn about conditions around you, and then if you want a better world, what we're saying is to understand what are the conditions in society that make people behave the way they do, and then devise a society that make people more constructive and cooperative. Use science and technology not for the benefit of a few individuals or corporations, but for the benefit of everybody. Not because we're goodwill people or real humanist people, but practically and scientifically, if you don't feed everybody and take care of everybody, you're going to have problems like we have today. So it's looking at the science of behavior as well.
This is a exactly what I mean. I was not referring to a spiritual way of thinking. I was referring to a more practical way of thinking. We have to go against what we have been told so far and just get out of our small world and see the option of the humanity around us. Exactly that's what I'm referring to. Thank you very much.
Too many questions.
Well, you can pass the mic around to anybody. There was somebody who had their hand back there, please.
Στους συνεργάτες Ορατόλια και σας ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ που ήρθατε από την Αρχή. Λοιπόν, έχω μαζέψει 7 διαφορετικούς τρόπους για να βελτιώσετε το εγχείρημά σας. Δεν ξέρω ποιο είναι το σημαντικό για να αρχίσουμε μετά.
How about with one, because other people have questions.
Εντάξει. Λοιπόν, ένα που θέλω να ρωτήσω είναι οι διαχειριστές των πόρων σήμερα θα επιτρέψουν κάποιους άλλους να αρχίσουν να διαχειρίζονται τους πόρους στο μέλλον και άρα να ελέγξουν ένα κομμάτι της εξουσίας τους.
With the people who are managing resources today, let others manage it in the future, so they'll be taking away their power. Did you hear that?
Yeah. The answer is, in America, General Motors and Chevy failed because they couldn't turn out a car better than Toyota. And so people bought more foreign cars because they were better, more miles per gallon, and better quality construction. But they failed, and a lot of banks failed in America. And they took the public funds for educating and feeding the poor and pensions and gave it to the banks. The people that created the problem in the first place. That tells you who ran the country. The money people run the country, not the public.
And during, I got this from Jacque because I wasn't around during the last Depression, but during the last Depression in the 1920s and 30s, Jacque was in an industrial plant where they made aircraft. And he was a friend of the owner of the plant. And he happened to be there when the tax collectors came in and said, "We're taking your plant away." And he said, "Why?" And they said, "Because you haven't paid taxes in 3 years." And he said, "Take the damn plant. I haven't had any orders in 3 years." A lot of people are going to be losing their industries in this upcoming depression as it continues. And the more and more that people put automation into their plants, and they're going to be forced to use automation because they can't compete with other factories that outsource for lower wages. Automation is going to come in more and more. And as it does, many people are going to lose their jobs and their purchasing power, and they won't have the money to buy the goods turned out. This is the end of the free enterprise system. No matter what we talk about, this scenario is happening. And even the industrialists who own the factories or own or manage the laws, they are going to lose their positions too. And a lot of them know that it's coming and don't know what to do. We're not against industrialists, or we're not against capitalists or communists or anything. We're introducing a system that would be better for everyone to live under. We're not punishing anybody or advocating violence of any kind. We're trying to introduce a system that would be good for the environment and for people. Another question?
Thank you for the experience. I just wanted to ask you, what is a practical way to claim the earth that you suggested before? A practical way to claim the earth, like
what's a practical way of claiming the earth as common heritage? A practical way of doing it.
Oh, first we have to go to different countries and invite them to join with the United States and Canada and maybe Mexico. Get all the countries together and say, we don't need armies against one another. We will use all the resources and share them. If you don't do that, You're going to spend a lot of money on armies, navies. That costs a lot of money. If you don't understand me, the cost of World War II could have housed everyone on earth, built hospitals all over the world, schools all over the world, wipe out poverty and hunger. Why don't they do that? Because they're stupid, is what I'm trying to tell you. They don't know how to solve problems. They use force. And force means I don't know how. So when I went, I don't know if you know this, how many of you know I joined the Ku Klux Klan in Miami? And I dissolved it in a month and a half. Then I joined the White Citizen Council. They hate foreigners, all foreigners. I dissolved that in 1 month. Then when I came back to New York, I asked a lot of people, who are the most backward people in New York? And they said, most people said the Arabs were. And I said, what makes you think they're backward? They said, they still believe the earth is flat. So I said, boy, if I can go into that group and turn them around, I can change people. If I can't change people. So I called the leader, always work with the leader. The leader of the group, I called him and said, can I come and talk to you? And he said in an Arab accent, you are Arab? I said, that means yes in Arabic. I speak a little bit of many languages. He said, from where your father he born? I said, Lebanon, that's where he's born. He says, come and saw me. He's come and see me. So when I came to see him, he said, tell me, you believe the world is round? He held up his hand like that. And I said, yes. He went, that means it can't be where he came from. So he said to me, if the world is round, man formed me down here. All the water, he formed me down from the world. He was sincere, nice guy. So I said, boy, if I can't get to him, how the hell am I going to change people? So I gave him a balloon that I brought, and I rubbed it with fur, fast. And I put some cornflakes in his hand. Told him to hold his hand away from the balloon. Does anybody know what happens if you rub the balloon and hold cornflakes? Hold the cornflakes, go up to the balloon, and his jaw hit the pavement. He said, world, he magnet? I said, air. And he explained that it took 2.5 hours to change his views. So what we have to do is get in touch with the leader of a group and adjust your language. So this leader of the Ku Klux Klan, he said to me, Jacque, you're a smart guy. What do you think of the Klan? I said, it's a great organization, but it doesn't go far enough. That gets us here. If you say, that's terrible to be a member of the Klan, you lose it. What do you want? You want to change the guy? Say it's a great idea, but it doesn't go far enough. They said, what do you need? Now you have a chance to talk to him. So I invited him to my lab. I showed him a lot of fantastic things. And here's what he said. Will you come on down to the next Klan meeting and talk to our boys about what you're doing? That's what he spoke. And I said, Lou, if I did that, they wouldn't listen to me. He says, I'll get them to listen because I think you're a smart guy. So he said, I want you guys to listen to Fresco. So I came on first with their values, then turned them around. Then my mother, somebody once said, you don't believe in love, do you love your mother? I said, in what area? My mother was a racist and a bigot, but she was nice to me. She was brought up that way. So I brought a Japanese kid home one day. He said, I don't want that kind around here. Enough for the Japanese kid to hear it. He was a friend of mine. He said, see you later, Jacque. He walked out. And I used reason with my mother. It didn't work at all. She said, I don't want her around. So I said, boy, if you can't change your mother, how are you going to change the world? I said, that's right. I'm talking to myself. That's what thinking is, talking to yourself. I say, I'll see you Saturday. You know, because I have to take the kids out to the beach Saturday. No, I can't take it. See, thinking is nothing magic. It's talking to yourself. So when you understand that, I had to turn my mother around. So I said, Mother, I was swimming in the East River with a high wall. This isn't true. And I couldn't get ashore. and the summer worked on a boat, and he threw a life vest in me. She said, "You mean he saved your life?" I said, "Yes." "Oh my God, I hurt his feelings terribly, didn't I?" I said, "Yes, you did." And she said, "Please, Jacque, ask him to come back. I'm so sorry. I want to come for dinner. I'd like to talk to him." So I said, "I don't know if he'll come back now." So she's pleading with me because she feels guilty. So I told the fellow the story. It's false. I said, "Well, when you come in the door, my mother's going to bless you, hug you. This is the background of my mother." So at dinner, she was talking to him, really. So I waited about 20 minutes until the son went to the washroom. Then I said to my mother, "What do you think?" She says, "You know, he's just like you in a way." So I said to her, "He's a member of the yellow race with this face on." And she said, "He's a nice boy. Yeah, he's in Japanese. He's slanty-eyed." And she's defending him now. But she liked him. She talked to him. A month later, she puts her arm around the saddle and calls him son. And he, once that was established, "Mother, he never saved my life." I told her that. She said, "You little devil, you would never open the door." Do you understand? If we're smarter than other people, we should be able to turn them around. But you can't turn around with reason or logic. That's scientists think you do that, you know. Use reason and logic. If a person doesn't know what the hell reason is or logic, they can't understand. I ask gangsters, how do you keep people honest when you have a big gang of gangsters who are people who are liars, murderers? How do you keep them honest in the gang? Because it's very easy. I'm talking about Al Capone. He said, "I leave my wallet on the table with a $5 bill, $2 bill, $10 on the table, and I walk out of the room. If that guy pulls any money, I would beat the shit out of him." And that's how you do it. So Al Capone did it that way. Now, a lot of you didn't know this. During the Depression, Al Capone opened more soup kitchens than the federal government. Did you know that? He fed hungry people. Is he bad? Yes, in some areas, he's good in other areas. There's no such thing as good or bad people. Depends on where they're coming from. If you can understand that. If you live in a home where your father beat your mother daily and said nasty things to her, and she said, "Boy, I'm never getting married." Where she's coming from, that's right, what she sees. But if you're brought up in a home without warmth and love, you have no love to give, no warmth to give. You understand what I'm talking about? If you don't know how to raise your kids so they grow and become more intelligent, it's you that lacks the ability. And you have to learn how to raise kids.
Jacque, we have a question over there.
Yes.
I see that quite a lot of questions have to do with how the transition will take place. So what I would say is, okay, someone asked how are we going to claim the resource was common heritage. Someone said whether it's going to involve violence. Well, the fact is that it's not happening in a day. It's a dynamic process that can take like 500 years or so. And what's important now is that it's up to us. And on an individual basis, we have to behave in a certain way so as to promote these values. For example, if someone devotes themselves working in the fashion world rather than education or science, that's a slight mistake. You won't contribute to the world. So rather than resigning and waiting from other people to do stuff, or thinking, well, I'm not going to buy them, someone else is going to be. Just stick to yourself, and on an individual basis, you try to promote this value, behave a certain way, and set the example. It's as simple as that. Once we reach a certain percentage of the population that acts the same way, that's the solution to the problem. The transition is definitely going to be long and painful, but there's no way we're going to wake up tomorrow and it's going to be a different way if each one of us individually doesn't behave in a certain way. Thanks so much.
You don't have a question,
Government
possible solutions in problems that they have already been taught to solve. But in an evolving society, new problems are generated. So if a group of scientists comes together to solve each of these new problems, and they generate 3, 4, 10 possible solutions for a specific problem, who is going to be the authority to choose the solution that is going to be implemented?
I'm going to take this later. Who's going to choose when the scientists come up with different methods? You know, some people come up and say, well, in the future, what are you going to do when somebody wants to do a swept forward wing for an aircraft, a new aircraft, and then somebody wants to do a swept back wing? What are you going to do? In a resource-based economy, we can do a swept forward wing. We can do a swept back wing. We can do biplanes, triplanes. We can try things. We'll have more resources for research. You know, you don't have to, today they beg for nickels and dimes to do medical care. We have enough resources to give research labs whatever they want, because this is what's significant in the future. We try many different things.
You don't have to choose between one system and another. If a man believes in natural food, and you believe in today's medicine, where you take medicine, and some people are naturopaths. We try all those systems, see how they work. Why do you have to choose this or that?
We put it to test.
I'm going to give her a microphone.
That's fine.
Χαίρομαι πολύ που σας γνωρίζω. Θα ήθελα να ρωτήσω σχετικά με την Ελλάδα. Μιλάμε καθημερινά το τελευταίο διάστημα για την οικονομική κρίση. Πείτε μας εσείς τι προτείνετε και για την οικονομική κρίση που όλοι μιλάνε στην Ελλάδα και τα μέσα μαζικής ενημέρωσης και αν πιστεύετε ότι όλο αυτό είναι ένα φιάσκο. Ευχαριστώ.
What can we propose with the financial crisis in Greece? Do you feel it's a fiasco, a crisis?
No, the financial crisis is real. What do we do about it? You have to change society. If you don't change society, you'll go on and on the same problems. Depression, boom, bust, war, hunger, poverty, loss of jobs. If you change the way people think, and begin to use the methods of science. I just want to tell you one thing before that question about the methods of science. The government asked scientists, can you put a man on the moon? And they said, we don't know. What do you mean we don't know? Don't you know how to put a man? No, we don't. We have to put a guy in the centrifuge and whirl him around and see when he conks out. If he comes out at 9 gravities, we can't take off too fast. That'll kill people. So how do you know? You put a guy in the world around. Now how do you drink water in a spaceship? If you give a guy a glass of water, if you pull the glass away fast, the water will stay there. From little bubbles. So they have to think of how to give a person water. So you put it in a tube and squeeze the food and water into the mouth. Then they say, well, what happens to a guy in space for 3 months? I don't know. So they check him out before, and when he comes back, the bones lose calcium. The only way to find out is to do it. You understand? If things don't work in the Venus Project, we will try other things. You understand? There's no other way except to be honest and say, I don't know. Yes. You want to put the mic out there? Yes.
Hello. My question is that we must respect the nature, and also I think we must respect also the animals, not all that we not abuse them and that we not make animal tests at these things. My question is if veganism will be in the future
question about change-sex animals and wonders what we're advocating for instead of animal testing.
Oh, I'm against all animal experiments, personally. Now, here's what we do. When a new vaccine is invented, some doctors have tried it on themselves, and they die. So what do you suggest when somebody comes up with something new? What do you suggest? You don't know, do you? Okay. This is what we do. We remove cancer from a person, and we keep it alive, and we treat the cancer, not the person. No radiation, no chemotherapy, you work on the cancer. You know what I mean? Put it in artificial circulation. Today, you can take human skin and put it in a petri dish and multiply the skin. I think that in the next 5-10 years, we'll be able to reproduce organs so you don't need to give your kidney to somebody. And you know, there are heart-pacing machines today that keep people alive. And they're machines, they're not that good yet, but we will do a lot of research. Now, for the blind people, they used to walk with a white stick when I was a kid. So I used to train dogs to lead the blind. And the sweet old lady came over and said, "What a nice dog." I said, "There's no such thing as a nice dog." I trained that dog to lead the blind. It was a police dog. I could have trained it to tear people to pieces, too. Do you understand what I mean? Depends on how we raise the dog. There's no good dog, no bad dog. Now, in the South Pacific Island, since everybody walked around nude, and there were no fetishes, no girly magazines, no girls posed in different positions, because they didn't need that. They were all swimming nude. They never looked at the body of a woman. But interesting thing about the people, they had no fetishes. They stroked the whole female, from top of the head all the way down. They had no breast men, leg men, ass men, tit men, hair men. They were all the same. They stroked the whole female. When you stroke a dog, you stroke the whole dog. You don't stop at the ball. And so you got to understand how we get conditioned to do that. All men behave that way. Hey, get a load of that chick. You think that's the way men are. That's not the way they are. That's the way they're made in this society. All the books about sex are bullshit. They're made to conform to this society. So I'm saying, if boys and girls would swim nude when they're very young, there'd be no peeping toms. Do you understand that? There would be no fetishes. No hair men, tit men, leg men, ass men, if they brought them nude together. But it's when you cover the body, like I said, if you cover a girl's ears, say to the guy, "You ever see a girl?" Show them a little bit when you cover them. If everybody in America or Greece had a nose a foot long, you'd have surgery done. There's no such thing as beauty except the culture you're brought up in. Beauty is in the eyes of the people. But if you teach kids, some people are beautiful, some are not beautiful. If you marry a guy that's very handsome and is a son of a bitch, that face becomes ugly. Do you understand that? Okay.
There's a question back there.
Somebody has to bring the microphone.
The opportunity that you gave me to accept with Mr. Fresco. At the beginning of the lecture, it is presented that almost of his life and his career he spent to build this project for the future. It's also presented that from 1927, technologically speaking, we are ready to be that, to have the project ready. From this time, a lot of economic crisis, social crisis, all these past decades, in all over the world took place. I'm sure that a lot of times he spent disappointed. I'm pretty sure he's very disappointed that the project is not being
No, you're asking if Jacque is disappointed?
But I'm asking what drives him and what motivates him to keep going.
He's not disappointed because he understands where we are in society, what the values are that people have, and what to expect from them. But he's asking what keeps you motivated.
Well, I'm afraid of the direction the world is going in. I know that America has 300 submarines. Each one has more destructive power than all the wars in history. What can that do for you? You understand what I mean? It's so stupid that I have to go around. We're going to many different countries. They invited us to come there. They want to hear something new. And they are afraid of all the governments building weapons of war, nuclear weapons. Now, why do they build nuclear weapons? Why is North Korea building nuclear weapons? Why do they have so many soldiers? Why is communist China building nuclear weapons? I'm going to tell you why. There was a newspaper in England called The Telegraph. That newspaper ran a headline, U.S. intends to bomb 7 countries with nuclear weapons. How many of you knew about that? You could write to England, don't take my word for it, write to The Telegraph. And if you put that in the newspaper, U.S. intends to bomb China, North Korea, and all the other countries, 7, with nuclear weapons, a sneak attack. That's why they're all building weapons. They're afraid what we might do. I'm sure you didn't know that. But don't take my word for it. Write to The Telegraph. I'll give you copies. I got copies of that. I saved them. Because I don't want people to take my word for anything. Just question the hell out of it.
Is there another? There's another question back here.
Thank you. I just want to extend one of the previous questions that was about choices. In a resource-based economy, we won't have to choose between a single-engine plane or a double-engine, as you said. But what about coordination? And what about major decision-making? How do we decide where we allocate certain resources? And who is going to be the guideline for the rest of us to follow? I know there will be cohesion based on an education.
Well, first of all, people have to identify with this direction, as I said, know what it's about, and want to work towards it. The Venus Project has a certain agenda. You know, using the Earth wisely, intelligently, managing Earth's resources intelligently. All the Earth's resources is a common heritage of all the Earth's people. And it states different things that we're working towards, and sharing of Earth's resources. And this is what we're aiming towards, but it's nobody's making decisions. It's not anyone ruling it. It's not Fresco's opinion about anything. What it is first, if people decide that they want to work towards this direction, then we have to take a survey of what the Earth has. We're not basing it on opinion, we're basing it on the needs of people. The survey would tell us where people are ill, where resources are, where factories are, where manufacturing plants are. And the needs of the people will determine what's built. If, first we have a whole transitional period and transitional things written down of how to feed people, how to house people quickly, how to make ships that go from coast to coast. If you can't build hospitals right away that are hospital ships, it's all written down, and we have methods of how to do it. And that survey determines what's done. And then, say if we need a bridge somewhere to distribute resources, the main occupation is distributing goods and services efficiently, and housing and clothing and feeding and educating, relevant education. So say for instance, if we need a bridge, you don't go to bakers, or you don't go to a housewife, you go to those people who have experience in that. So that determines, they're interdisciplinary teams of scientists and technicians that will build in certain areas, but they don't run things. What runs things is the direction that we want to move toward and people's needs.
Let me just say this about that before your next question. We do a survey of land first. See what arable land means where you can grow food. And we say a certain population can fit in that land because that land can support 50,000 people. But if you put 80,000 people there, you're going to have starvation. So you have to do a survey first to see what the carrying capacity of the earth is. That determines how many people. If the Catholic Church says, don't worry about that, the Lord will provide. If he doesn't, with you, sign here. Is that correct? Yes. Has somebody got a mic?
Λοιπόν, να κάνω λίγο μια ερώτηση. Στη δικιά σας δηλαδή κοινωνία δεν θα υπάρχει αν κατάλαβα μέσω συναλλαγής. Πώς θα γίνει κάποιος να πιστεί να δουλέψει για το κοινό καλό? Αυτό σημαίνει ότι κάποιος πρέπει να είναι πολύ συνειδητοποιημένος για να το κάνει αυτό. Αυτό θα επιτευχθεί μέσω της παιδείας. Και αν μπορεί να επιτευχθεί μέσω της παιδείας, τότε γιατί λέμε ότι δεν μπορεί να εφαρμοστεί ο κομμουνισμός? Ένα από τα δίπλα σημαίνει του κομμουνισμού είναι αυτό το πράγμα. Να δουλέψουμε όλοι για το κοινό καλό.
How are you going to get people to work for the common good? It's a weakness they have in communism. Yes.
Okay.
If there's no money.
Common good means, to me, that there are more engineers, scientists who can clean out the mess we made in the oceans. I told you, the U.S. Army's done 65 tons of nerve gas off the coast of Miami. How can they run the country and do that? When you say, yes, sir, dump the nerve gas and do it, you're creating a bunch of robots. I don't want people to make weapons of war. When I was drafted into the Army, they said, can you make a bomb that spreads sideways instead of up? I said, I don't know how to do that. I know how to do that, but I won't. Killing people is never the answer to anything. So I want you to know that I only work on safety devices for automobiles, airplanes, surgery. I do not work on weapons. I always tell people I don't know how to do that.
When you're talking about you can't get people to work for the common good, you're essentially saying that if people don't work for money, they're not interested in anything and won't work. We are afraid of people who work for money. You know, in the old days, they used to have doctors that came to your home, charged very little, and were concerned about people. Today, it's a business. We know doctors that work and hate it, work in clinics, that they have to move people through in 15 minutes and no more. We also feel that people today, even when they're out of work, millions of people volunteer for things and they don't get anything for it. What will reinforce people that communism didn't do because they didn't have a methodology as to how to run society? What will reinforce people is no war, no homelessness, no hunger, no crime, and a higher standard of living for people. So, you know, Martin Luther King didn't walk down the streets of Alabama to get his head smashed in when he was advocating black rights because he was getting $1 million put in a Swiss bank account. He did it because he believed that was the direction to go towards that would help people. So if people don't work toward it, if they don't think that it's a viable direction to work toward, then it won't happen. We have no money. We have no power. It depends on what other people do. And if people don't do anything, we're going to have more fascistic government and more problems.
And I'm afraid of that. It depends on what you do. When you leave here, if you do nothing, nothing will happen.
You know, it won't take many people to run society. Today, you're on the backs of maybe 100 people that gave you certain technological developments. It may take 7,000 people to run the whole earth with technology, and as we progress, it will take less because we'll be automating more. So you don't have to worry about convincing everyone.
And one thing I want to say to some of you, we will have many sailboats, hundreds of them, for your use. Thing I left out is you don't own anything anymore. There's sailboats, bicycles, cars for your use, airplanes, everything. But you don't have to own anything. You want it when you want it. If you want to go sailing, you get in with your family and go. You don't have to fill any forms out or get along with Fresco. The boats are there for your use. The end of ownership, that's what the thing is. In nature, elephants don't own anything. They just eat in the ground. And when they defecate, it helps the plants. Nature recycles. It's ownership that hurts people. So if we build a Venus project and you have, say, 200 paintings of great artists, we say, please, will you put your paintings on tour so everyone can enjoy them? He says, no, they're mine. So we put that in the morning paper. He said, no, they're mine. It won't take long for people to turn them around.
Really, ownership is a burden. You have to store things, you have to maintain things, you have to take insurance out on things. You know, it's kind of a recent invention, but in the old days, people really didn't own things.
Αν έχετε δουλέψει σε κάποια συσκευή ελεύθερης ενέργειας, και να μας πείτε τη γνώμη σας για αυτή τη συσκευή, αν έχει υπάρξει
Well, the sun is free, and so if you mean that, solar generators, heat concentrators, what energy can we use if we don't have oil? We can use wave power, wind power, temperature differences, rivers, high tide, low tide flows in and out of rivers. We can use turbines under the water. Heat concentrators concentrate the heat on a point. And so we have limitless energy out there. Then there's geothermal, the heat of the earth, natural volcanic heat. You dig deep holes, put piping down, you can heat every house in Canada by the geothermal energy. And you can heat house. Geothermal alone can provide enough energy for thousands of years. Just that alone. And I'm talking about solar energy. But the electric companies don't like it. The oil companies don't like it. You understand that? If you make a tire, say that lasts 15 years, Goodrich will buy it from you, but they won't produce it. You know why? They put it out of business. So companies design things today deliberately to wear out, break down. Then you resell. You notice how good they are designing things guaranteed for 3 years? 3 years and 3 days of things for. So companies do not do the best they can for people. They work for profit, not human improvement. Otherwise, they never outsource jobs to China. There are machines today that can type to speech, so they don't need secretaries typing anymore. They're out. And the Iceman is gone. And the conductor, if you go to any modern airport, don't take my word for it, go there. The trains that are there have no conductors, no operators. They operate automatically. And that's happening more and more. That means that eventually millions of people will be out of work. And they won't have money to buy things. That's the end of the money system. Venus Project or no Venus.